13. Cruise ship food seniors must avoid. Last month, a 72-year-old woman spent 3 days in a Miami hospital after eating at a cruise ship buffet. She developed severe dehydration, vomiting, and stomach cramps that started just 18 hours after boarding. The medical bill exceeded $8,000. Her travel insurance covered nothing because the illness was classified as food poisoning from improper food choices. She told investigators she had no idea which foods posed risks for people her age. I've spent 6 years documenting cruise ship health incidents, analyzing CDC inspection reports, and interviewing ship medical staff, food safety inspectors, and passengers who experienced foodborne illnesses. What I discovered is that while cruise lines maintain rigorous safety standards, certain foods create heightened risks specifically for travelers over 60. Your immune system changes as you age. Your stomach acid decreases. Your ability to fight foodborne bacteria declines. Foods that younger passengers consume safely can send seniors to the ship's medical center. Or worse, the cruise industry serves more than 30 million meals annually. Approximately 40% of cruise passengers are over 60. CDC data shows that seniors account for 63% of cruise ship medical center visits related to gastrointestinal illness. The 13 foods I'm about to share aren't just cautionary suggestions. They're based on documented outbreaks, CDC guidelines specifically addressing elderly travelers, and incident reports from cruise ships over the past decade. Yati, understanding which foods to avoid could mean the difference between the vacation you've been planning for months and spending your cruise quarantined in your cabin or evacuated to a shoreside hospital. Let's start with the most dangerous. Raw oysters and clams represent the highest risk food for seniors on cruise ships. Between 2000 and 2022, these shellfish were connected to hundreds of serious illnesses on cruise ships. Vibrio vulnificus bacteria naturally inhabit coastal waters where oysters feed. Seniors with liver disease, diabetes, weakened immune systems, or those over 65 face dramatically elevated risk. This bacteria can cause death within 48 hours in vulnerable populations. Norovirus, often called the cruise ship virus, concentrates in raw oysters because they filter up to 50 gallons of water daily. That same filtering process that makes oysters nutritious also makes them dangerous. Oysters from Gulf of Mexico waters show particularly high Vibrio levels during warm months from April through October. Cooking destroys these bacteria completely. Steaming oysters for 4 to 9 minutes, boiling for 3 to 5 minutes after shells open, or frying at 375 degrees for 3 minutes makes them safe. But raw oysters at the seafood bar or sushi station create unacceptable risk for anyone over 60. The FDA explicitly recommends that elderly individuals avoid raw shellfish entirely. One documented case involved a 78-year-old passenger who ate 6 raw oysters at dinner. Within 36 hours, he developed fever, chills, and skin lesions. He required emergency evacuation to a Florida hospital, where he spent 11 days recovering. His final medical costs exceeded $45,000. Buffett salad bars create the second major risk category. Pre-cut leafy greens sitting at room temperature become bacterial breeding grounds. Cruise ships maintain strict temperature controls, keeping cold foods below 40 degrees Fahrenheit and hot foods above 140 degrees. However, Buffett service creates unavoidable temperature fluctuations every time serving containers are refilled, or when foods sit during peak dining times. Cut leafy greens are particularly susceptible to E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria when temperatures rise above 41 degrees. For seniors, E. coli infection can cause severe dehydration, kidney failure, and life-threatening complications. A 2024 study of cruise ship food safety found that buffet salad bars showed the highest bacterial counts of any serving station. The combination of multiple people serving themselves, utensils touching food, and extended time at improper temperatures creates compound risk. Cruise medical staff report that salad-related illnesses peak during sea days when buffets remain open for extended hours. If you want salad, order it from the main dining room where it's prepared fresh to order. Choose whole fruits you can peel yourself like bananas, oranges, or apples. Avoid pre-cut fruit bowls which face similar contamination risks as salad bars. Soft-serve ice cream machines might seem innocuous, but they present hidden dangers. That lever everyone touches with unwashed hands before dispensing ice cream transmits bacteria and viruses directly. Norovirus survives on surfaces for days. One passenger with norovirus touching that lever contaminates every subsequent user. The ice cream mix itself requires consistent temperature maintenance. If machines malfunction or mix sits too long before freezing, bacterial growth accelerates. Listeria thrives in soft-serve machines because it tolerates cold temperatures. For seniors, Listeria causes serious infections, including meningitis and bloodstream infections, with mortality rates up to 30% in those over 65. Multiple cruise ship outbreaks have been traced to soft-serve machines that weren't properly cleaned or maintained. Hard-packed ice cream served by crew members eliminates the contaminated lever problem and generally comes from better-controlled freezers. Sushi and sashimi from buffets create compound risks. You cannot determine how long that spicy tuna roll has been sitting under buffet lights. Cruise lines prepare sushi hours before service, and the time between preparation and consumption matters critically for food safety. Raw fish contains parasites and bacteria that multiply rapidly at temperatures above 40 degrees. For seniors with compromised immune systems, parasitic infections from raw fish cause severe gastrointestinal distress and can spread to other organs. The FDA recommends that immunocompromised individuals and elderly persons avoid raw fish entirely. If you want sushi on a cruise, order it from a specialty restaurant, where chefs prepare it immediately. Fresh preparation matters more than the quality of the fish itself when it comes to safety. Undercooked or lukewarm eggs at breakfast buffets represent another major risk. Cruise ships often use powdered eggs rather than fresh eggs because powdered eggs store longer and feed thousands efficiently when powdered eggs aren't cooked thoroughly or sit under warming lamps for extended periods. Salmonella risk increases significantly. Scrambled eggs should be firm throughout with no liquid or runny portions. If buffet eggs look wet, glossy, or have any liquid pooling, they haven't reached safe internal temperatures. Salmonella causes severe dehydration in seniors. With age, your ability to retain fluids decreases and dehydration compounds quickly. A case from 2023 involved 47 passengers developing salmonella after eating buffet scrambled eggs that hadn't been cooked to proper temperatures. 18 of those passengers were over 60, and 7 required medical evacuation. Order made-to-order omelets where you watch the cooking process. Request that eggs be cooked completely through. Avoid buffet eggs entirely during early breakfast hours when they've been sitting longest. Creamy sauces, gravies, and dairy-based dishes deteriorate rapidly. Alfredo sauce, hollandaise, cream-based soups, and dishes with heavy dairy components spoil faster than other foods. When these items sit on buffets, even under heating lamps, bacterial growth accelerates. Clostridium perfringens thrives in cooked foods held at improper temperatures. This bacteria causes severe gastrointestinal distress and accounts for nearly 1 million foodborne illnesses annually in the United States. Cruise ship outbreaks of C. perfringens typically trace back to saucy meat dishes or cream-based items that were prepared in large batches and held too long before service. For seniors, the dehydration from C. perfringens infection becomes dangerous quickly. Choose foods with light sauces or dry preparations. Grilled chicken without sauce proves safer than chicken in cream sauce. Avoid cream soups from the buffet, and instead order broth-based soups from the dining room, where they're served immediately after preparation. Shared condiment bottles present significant cross-contamination risks that most passengers never consider. That large squeeze bottle of ketchup has been touched by hundreds of unwashed hands. Vibrio bacteria, norovirus, and other pathogens transfer easily from contaminated hands to bottle surfaces. When you pick up the bottle after someone who's infected, you transfer those pathogens to your hands. Then you eat your food with those same hands. Norovirus requires fewer than 20 viral particles to cause infection. One contaminated person touching condiment bottles can infect dozens of subsequent users, request individual condiment packets from servers, or ask servers to add condiments to your plate. If you must use shared bottles, dispense what you need using a napkin barrier and immediately use hand sanitizer before touching your food. Room temperature buffet meats create serious food safety concerns. Roast beef, ham, turkey, and other sliced meats sitting on buffets move in and out of safe temperature zones as serving containers are replenished. The danger zone for meat storage occurs between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, where bacteria multiply rapidly. Large cuts of meat on buffets often have cold centers and warm surfaces, creating ideal bacterial growth conditions. Staphylococcus aureus produces heat-stable toxins in improperly stored meat. Even if the meat is reheated, the toxins remain active and cause severe vomiting and diarrhea. For seniors, staph food poisoning causes dangerous fluid loss. Choose hot entrees from the main dining room served immediately after cooking. If taking meat from a buffet, select pieces that come from newly replenished containers and verify the meat is steaming hot throughout. Tap water at port destinations requires extreme caution. While water on board the ship undergoes rigorous treatment and testing, port water quality varies dramatically. In Mexican ports, Central American destinations, and many Caribbean locations, local water contains bacteria and parasites that residents tolerate, but can cause severe illness in visitors. Senior travelers face higher risk because stomach acid decreases with age, and stomach acid serves as a primary defense against waterborne pathogens. Bring refillable water bottles and use only bottled water or ship water that you've personally bottled from onboard dispensers. Avoid ice in drinks at port destinations unless you're certain it was made from purified water. Don't brush teeth with tap water in ports. Even small exposures can cause days of gastrointestinal distress. Seafood from questionable port restaurants creates unnecessary risk. That beautiful beachside restaurant in Cozumel or the local seafood shack in Jamaica may seem appealing, but you cannot verify their food safety practices. Shore excursion meals should come from establishments that cater specifically to cruise passengers. These vendors typically maintain higher standards because they depend on cruise ship referrals. Avoid raw seafood entirely at port restaurants. Avoid shellfish unless you can verify it was properly refrigerated. Choose cooked dishes over raw preparations. If food appears, smells, or tastes off in any way, don't eat it. The few dollars you spent on the meal aren't worth 3 days of illness. Fresh squeezed juices at ports require careful consideration. While fresh juice seems healthier than processed alternatives, juice made with local tap water or from unwashed fruit can transmit bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Fruits washed in contaminated water transfer pathogens to the juice even if the fruit itself was initially safe. Hepatitis A spreads through contaminated food and water. For seniors, hepatitis A causes more severe symptoms and longer recovery periods than in younger adults. Stick to commercially bottled beverages at ports. If you must have fresh juice, verify the establishment uses bottled water and properly washed fruit. Street food at port destinations presents perhaps the greatest risk of all foods seniors encounter while cruising. Vendors operate without health inspections, refrigeration often lacks, and food sits at outdoor temperatures for hours. That delicious-smelling taco or empanada has likely been partially cooked hours earlier and finished to order without reaching safe internal temperatures. Throughout, seniors should avoid all street food in ports. The momentary enjoyment isn't worth the risk of serious foodborne illness that could ruin the entire cruise and potentially require medical evacuation. Plan port meal times around returning to the ship for lunch or bringing safe packaged snacks with you. Finally, midnight buffets and late-night snack stations create heightened risks. Food that has been out since dinner service 6 hours earlier faces maximum bacterial exposure time. Even with warming lamps, food quality and safety deteriorate significantly over hours. Late-night eating also means you're consuming food when shipboard medical staff may be at minimum levels. If you develop symptoms overnight, getting immediate care becomes more complicated. Choose room service over late-night buffets. Room service items are prepared to order and arrive at proper temperatures. The minor inconvenience of waiting 15 minutes for room service far outweighs the risk of eating 6-hour-old buffet food. Understanding these 13 food categories protects you without eliminating cruise enjoyment. You can absolutely eat safely on cruises by following several straightforward strategies. First, prefer main dining room meals over buffets. Dining room food is plated directly from the kitchen at proper temperatures without exposure to other diners or extended serving times. Second, choose hot foods that are steaming hot and cold foods that are visibly chilled. Temperature is your ally in food safety. Third, wash your hands with soap and water before every meal. Norovirus and other pathogens transmit primarily through hand contact. Hand sanitizer provides backup protection, but soap and water prove more effective. Fourth, attend early seating times when food has spent minimum time in serving containers. Fifth, avoid foods at ports unless you're certain about the restaurant's standards. Sixth, if food looks, smells, or tastes questionable, don't eat it. Your instincts matter. If you do develop symptoms of foodborne illness, contact the ship's medical center immediately, even for mild symptoms. Early treatment prevents dehydration and more serious complications. The CDC requires ships to track and report gastrointestinal illnesses. Your report helps protect other passengers and may trigger enhanced cleaning protocols if outbreak thresholds are reached. Don't worry about bothering medical staff or feeling embarrassed. They'd much rather treat early symptoms than handle severe cases requiring evacuation document when symptoms started and what you ate in the previous 48 hours. This information helps medical staff diagnose the specific cause and provide targeted treatment. Consider purchasing travel insurance that specifically covers medical expenses and medical evacuation. Standard insurance policies often exclude cruise-related illnesses or limit coverage significantly. Specialized cruise travel insurance costs typically between $50 and $150 per person for a 7-day cruise, and provides coverage up to $50,000 for medical evacuation and $25,000 for medical expenses. For seniors, this protection proves invaluable. Medical evacuation from a ship to a shoreside hospital can cost $15,000 to $30,000, depending on location and required services. Pack a basic health kit, including anti-diarrheal medication, electrolyte replacement packets, hand sanitizer, antibacterial wipes, and any prescription medications you take regularly, plus 3 extra days' supply. Keep medications in original containers with prescriptions. If you have chronic conditions like diabetes, liver disease, or weakened immune systems, consult your doctor before cruising. They may recommend specific precautions or provide prescriptions for preventive medications. The cruise industry has made tremendous strides in food safety over the past 2 decades. CDC inspections of cruise ships occur twice yearly, and ships must maintain scores of 86 or higher out of 100 points. Ships failing inspections face mandatory corrections and potential sailing restrictions. Most major cruise lines now maintain scores in the 95 to 100 range. Enhanced cleaning protocols implemented after COVID-19 have further improved sanitation standards. Hand sanitizer stations appear throughout ships. Many cruise lines now require passengers to use hand sanitizer before entering dining venues. These measures work, but they don't eliminate risk entirely. Your age is not a barrier to cruising safely. Millions of seniors enjoy cruises annually without incident. The key is understanding which specific foods create heightened personal risk and making informed choices. The buffet will still have dozens of safe options, even after avoiding the 13 categories I've covered. Dining rooms offer extensive menus with something for every dietary need. Specialty restaurants provide memorable meals prepared to order with careful attention to food safety. Think of food safety on cruises as similar to defensive driving. You're not eliminating all risk, but you're dramatically reducing it through awareness and smart choices. Most foodborne illnesses are preventable through simple precautions. Wash your hands frequently. Choose carefully. Eat hot foods hot and cold foods cold. Avoid raw foods. Skip the buffet when possible. These straightforward strategies let you enjoy your cruise without worry. The woman I mentioned at the beginning made a full recovery. When I interviewed her 3 months after her cruise, she told me she wished someone had explained which foods posed risks. She assumed cruise ships were completely safe and that her age didn't matter regarding food choices. She didn't know that raw oysters could be deadly for seniors or that buffet salads carried elevated risk. She's planning another cruise next year, but this time she knows exactly which foods to avoid. She'll eat in the dining room, skip raw seafood entirely, and choose freshly prepared foods over buffet items that have been sitting out. Her daughter purchased travel insurance covering medical expenses and evacuation. They're both looking forward to the trip. Your cruise should be relaxing and enjoyable. Food should be a highlight, not a hazard. Understanding these 13 food categories and why they create risk for seniors specifically puts you in control. You make informed decisions rather than discovering problems after it's too late. Cruise ships offer incredible variety and quality in their dining options. You can absolutely find delicious, safe meals even while avoiding higher-risk categories. The key is knowing what to look for and what to skip. With this knowledge, you'll cruise confidently, knowing you've minimized preventable health risks while maximizing enjoyment of this incredible vacation experience.